6 months of Russia-Ukraine war. Here are the key dates. Till now. Russia and Ukraine's heated war hasn't calmed since it began. Innumerable twists and turns of events and various shocking developments later, both the nations are standing at the same distance they once were when the war began. One of the deadliest wars of Europe, which began with Russia's aggression against Ukraine for joining NATO and Russia's nearing Ukraine's border in January, transformed into a full-blown war in February. And almost half a year later, the entire world has borne the consequences of it. Please subscribe to the channel. Sage here for Kalkine Media. When in February 2022, Ukraine's European allies turned against Russia and imposed sanctions against the country, and 2 days later, Russia began the invasion of Ukraine. Now, a couple of days later, by the end of February, even when both the nations tried to attempt ceasefire talks, nothing could be achieved. With the arrival of March, heartbreaking reportage from the war-torn country of Ukraine came out. The number of refugees flowing out of Ukraine increased. But on March the 21st, despite all the heart-wrenching hardships, Ukraine refused Russia's demand to give up. And meanwhile, various Russian oligarchs and diplomats have to bear the consequences of sanctions imposed against them by various European countries. The country even witnessed the departure of various prominent brands from its land. Be it Netflix, Starbucks or even L'Oreal, Russia had to bid goodbye to a few of the world's favourite brands. With the arrival of April, the Russian troops started marching towards Kiev and surrounding cities like Bucha, where heartbreaking scenes of atrocities were unveiled. And as the war waged, speculations emerged that various other European nations like Sweden and Finland exhibited the will to join NATO. Seeing the power balance shift, Russia started testing new missiles which were capable of causing widespread destruction. By the end of the month, Putin even threatened European nations about scaling up nuclear efforts. With no signs of peace in May as well, the war kept on waging. And in the light of events, Sweden and Finland both applied to join NATO. And the royal family of Britain opened their house to Ukrainian refugees, just like thousands of other Brits. And as the war reached its 100th day on June 3rd, Russian forces seized a fifth of Ukraine since the invasion began. Russian forces make their way to Ukraine's easternmost city of Severodonetsk and cause massive damage. In the light of these developments, Russia has cut gas deliveries to Europe through Nord Stream 1 gas pipeline to 40% of capacity, and Russia started to revert the sanction in form of restrictive control of gas supply to the rest of Europe. 19th week in the war as the month of July begins, and Russia continues to invade Ukraine's residential areas like Syrivka and Lysychansk city, where Russia later claimed victory as well. Later in the month, Ukraine cut ties with North Korea over the recognition of separatist regions. And later in the month, Russia opened the Nord Stream 1 gas pipeline. But as both the nations pass 150 days of the war, now the situation still looks quite grim. The future and ties of both the European nations seem to be in an unpredictable sphere, and will the war end anytime soon? Is the question on the minds of millions of people who are witnessing and being affected by this ghastly war. If you like this information, please give it a like, share and comment on the video below. Subscribe to the channel. Have you had a Ukrainian refugee in your house here in Australia? Let us know how it's gone for you. Please press the bell icon. You'll be notified of the most recent videos from Kalkine. But for more updates, please head to the website. It's kalkinemedia.com. My name's Sage for Kalkine Media.